I'm not gonna waste your time. You clicked on this video for 20 minutes of car facts, so here we go. Grab some P&Qs and maybe even a sprunk and enjoy. Thank you to my channel members. Please like and subscribe for the fantastic YouTube algorithm. And let's dive in. The Stinger TT, as we know it now, used to have a different name. It used to be called the Italy GTO Stinger TT, and if it had HSW, then it would be called the Italy GTO Stinger TT HSW. But I guess Rockstar thought that name was too long, or maybe, you know, they had some other reason, which is completely fair, so they shortened the name to the Stinger TT when Money Fronts came out. You cannot traditionally change the color of stock wheels on your car, but if the car you want is available at any of the dealerships, sometimes they will come with colored stock wheels. I don't know why Rockstar doesn't let us just change it ourselves, but whatever. If you go in first person inside the Insurgent, you can see that there are two speedometers. Why you will need two exactly? I have no idea. If you go in first person inside the Stockade, it also has two speedometers. Maybe it's just for big trucks or something? When you're going really fast in a car or on a bike and you throw a C4, for some reason you turn into Prime Tom Brady and are able to chuck the C4 hundreds of feet away. In GTA 4, there were 56 cars that later came to GTA 5 Online, and they are as follows: the Banshee, Comet, Infernus, Sultan RS, Cognoscenti, Dilettante, Emperor, Ingot, Intruder, Oracle, Premier, Primo, Romero, Stratum, Stretch, Sultan, Washington, Dukes, Faction, Manana, Peyote, Ruiner, Saber GT, Stallion, Vigero, Virgo, Voodoo, Blista Compact, Fudo, Burrito, Cavalcade, Habanero, Landstalker, Minivan, Moonbeam, Patriot, Pony, Speedo, Fagio, PCJ 600, Sanchez, Zombie, Ambulance, FIB Buffalo, Fire Truck, Benson, Boxville, Forklift, Mule, Packer, Phantom, Ripley, Stockade, labeled in GTA 4 as the Sakura car, Airtug, Bus, and the Trash Master. Phew. The Sentinel GTS has a front logo that lights up with the headlights, but when you turn on the high beams, it no longer lights up for some reason. On the side of the Stockade, it says in partnership with the Bank of Liberty, and you may be wondering why. Well, the Stockade was also in GTA 4 as well, like previously mentioned, and the main bank of GTA 4 is the Bank of Liberty City, so either Rockstar just forgot to remove this or left it as a nice nod to the past. If you pop the rear hood on the Suzumi, you can see two battery packs. Who cares about a V12 or anything like that? We got battery packs, buddy! The secondary color on the Sentinel GTS changes the color of 4 different parts around the car: the brake calipers, 2 little pieces in the headlights, the front grille trim, and the interior stitching. Quite inconvenient because if you want only red brake calipers, you also have to have red everything else too, which is quite inconvenient. On the Everon RS, there's an option to remove the tailgate, but in the menu, you still have the option to open and close the trunk, and you can in fact hear the tailgate opening and closing. The Everon RS is also classified as an SUV for some reason. This is clearly a truck and should at least be in the off-road category or something. The Everon RS also has the option to add plastic wheel arches. If you look closely at the plastic here, it is actually very highly detailed. You can see the ridges and texture of the plastic, which is some nice attention to detail indeed, and this is what we are likely to expect in GTA 6, so it being here is quite nice. In most electric cars, you can still find a fuel gauge inside the interior, even though obviously electric cars do not need fuel, they need electricity. So maybe they should have a battery meter or something? The PP Strello has 2 start buttons inside the interior, one on the wheel and one in the middle. So which one do you press exactly? I have no idea. If you have an old car that for some reason doesn't have yellow headlights and you would like yellow headlights, you can take it to the Arena War workshop or agency or one of those special garages and add either yellow or golden shower lights, kind of a strange name, depending on how yellow you want the headlights to look for that old school retro feel. The Tampa GT has so much torque to where if you try to wheelie, all 4 wheels will leave the ground. It's essentially impossible to do a long wheelie on this thing because the car has so much torque. It's impossible. You could try for yourself, it just won't happen. The Minimus, the new car based off of the Nissan Maxima, mind you, has a V12 underneath the hood. I wish I was recording when I first discovered this because, oh my god, I was absolutely flabbergasted when I saw a V12 under the hood of this Nissan Maxima. It's so ridiculous. I have absolutely no clue what the Rockstar dev was thinking when they added this. Maybe they were just on something good. I don't know. The rear seats in the Minimus also don't look finished at all. It's just pitch black with no stitching, no detail, no nothing. Maybe the car was rushed because with all the weird details in this thing, I wouldn't be surprised. The Hardy has a front bumper called the Boso Zoku bumper that has a splitter about 2.5 feet long. What's weird is that if you ram the front of the car into a wall or something, you can also break the headlights somehow, even though theoretically it should be impossible to break the headlights by ramming the car into a wall in this thing, because it would hit the splitter before it hits the headlights, but whatever. The Woodlander also uses the same engine as the Sultan RS Classic, which does make sense as they are both Subarus or Karens made around the same time period, so engine sharing is to be expected. The Niobe, or Niobe, however you want to say it, has a cute little chime whenever you get in or get out of the car. The Western Police Bike is not actually classified as a motorcycle. It's classed as an emergency vehicle, which also means that you wouldn't be able to use it in a motorcycle race. The Chimera has the most ridiculous license plate I've ever seen in my life. First off, it's so tiny, I don't know how an officer is expected to read this thing, but it is also sideways, meaning the officer gotta break his neck just to read a license plate, which is, of course, very nice. If a player is already in the car wash for a customer and you enter the car wash for a customer as well, it will glitch out and prematurely end the car wash in about 5 seconds. On the front fender of the Peyote, it has a badge that says V10 Supercharged. Other than being said backwards, it indeed does not have a V10, nor a supercharged V10 at that, as you can clearly see right here. The Peyote also has a custom license plate frame that says Peyote. Other cars do have this, like the Ruiner for example, but it is rare to see one regardless. The Click Wagon only sits 2 people, even though you can clearly see a back seat in there. Rockstar probably did this because it is a 2-door, and the animation for getting into a 2-door rear seat would be quite odd indeed, or non-existent. You'd probably just teleport right into the back, so unfortunately only 2 people can sit in this 4-seater. The Kalahari, a vehicle you probably have never even seen or knew existed before I just mentioned it, has the single weirdest shifter I've ever seen on an automobile, in real life, or in a game. It comes out from underneath the dashboard and sticks out like a foot. I don't even know how this would work, and there's also another stick thingy poking out right next to it, but I assume that's the parking brake or something, and I don't know how you would shift something that's horizontal. Like, do you move it up and down compared to like side to side? I have no idea. If somebody knows, please tell me in the comments, because I would actually be very curious to know. The Raptor has a tiny window at the bottom of the front of the car that isn't so much a window as it is a windscreen. You can actually tint this window as well, which is probably the single most useless window tint to ever exist, but you can do it here. The Postlude has a great steering wheel. Looks very much like the Preludes from around that time, which is great, but Dinka is slightly cut off at the bottom of the text. It was almost perfect though. I mean, this steering wheel, spitting image. But they just had to ruin it. Changing the trim color on the Postlude also changes this tiny little piece that the rear view mirror hangs from. Most people would probably never even notice this, and I had to notice it by going to first person and looking at the secondary color, but it is very nice to see. Newer cars have a higher quality rear view mirror than older cars. Still not great quality, but better than the older cars, that's for sure. Most of the cars that do have this better quality mirror as well are probably likely exports from GTA 6 that were ported to GTA 5 and then back to GTA 6 whenever that comes out. If you open your door in the way of traffic, NPCs will actually avoid your door, even if you do it while they're relatively close to your car already. The Warrener has a badge on the back that says 5-speed. Not only is this weird because I've never seen a car advertise its transmission as a badge on the outside of the car, but it is also false. This car is a gated 6-speed, as you can see right here, so not only is it weird, it is a lie. The headlights on the Coca D5 only reach about 5 feet for some reason, and then they abruptly cut off. The high beams do fix this issue, but it's weird nonetheless. If you shoot the rear battery in the Cyclone, the bullets will go right through the battery and hit the floor. What's even weirder is that it will still damage the car though. Even though the engine doesn't have any actual texture to it and doesn't have any physical property, it will still react as if you are shooting the engine, or the battery in this case, and blow up. The Obey 9F and its convertible version have quite a lot of interesting facts about them. Firstly, the black body panel on the side of the car is only on the convertible. On the coupe, the panel is body colored. The coupe also has a different spoiler option than the convertible. The convertible's is smaller and skinnier overall, while the coupe's is more beefy. The coupe also only has 1 exhaust option, while the convertible has 3 exhaust options. If you pop the hood on either variant, you can see that it also says Obey 9F very aggressively, which is certainly quite odd, but I guess cool. What's even more odd is that the front bumper has a major gap in between the front trunk area. It's not even connected to the chassis or anything, it's just mysteriously floating. A very quirky car that everybody knows about, but nobody truly knows, if you read me. When GTA 5 first came out, Rockstar more or less only made one animation for starting a car. You get in, turn the ignition, the car turns on, and then you go. But GTA Online has been out for so long at this point that most new cars now have a push to start instead of a traditional ignition switch. But the old animation of turning the key is still used on some of these new cars with a push to start, which is just chef's kiss, because why are you turning the key when there's a button right there, bro? If you ever feel like wasting $7,000, buy the barbed wire for the roof of the Pounder Custom in your nightclub. It does absolutely nothing. Even if it did, I can't say many people have tried jumping on top of my truck while I was selling nightclub goods, but you know, it's there if you want it. There's a spoiler option for the Italy GTB Custom that is called the Custom Secondary Body Wing, but it's not actually the secondary color. It's carbon fiber, and there is already an option for this exact same wing called the Custom Carbon Body Wing. So for some reason, a Rockstar dev didn't change the actual color of this spoiler to secondary, so instead you end up with two carbon fiber spoilers that are the exact same. There's an additional tachometer that you can add on select vehicles that actually has a red light indicator telling you when you should upshift. Of course, because of GTA 5's weird transmission coding, you are always kind of in the red line area for some reason, so this red light will kind of always be on whenever you're driving. The Kuruma is labeled as a Karen vehicle, which is based on Toyota, when the car is obviously based on a Mitsubishi Lancer. I initially gave Rockstar the benefit of the doubt and maybe thought that a brand for Mitsubishi hadn't yet existed when they made this car, but that isn't true. The Penumbra, based off of the Mitsubishi Eclipse, is labeled as a Maibatsu brand vehicle, which came out on day one of GTA 5, which is of course based off of a Mitsubishi. So there was a brand for Mitsubishi at this point when the Kuruma was added, but for some reason Rockstar chose to label it under the Karen brand, which is once again Toyota, which once again makes no sense. For some reason on the Rapid GTX, they chose to have the rear taillights be illuminated from the middle and not on the sides like how literally every other car in existence is. The sides do illuminate while braking, but not by default. The lights are essentially reversed, and because of that I can't drive this car because it bugs me so much, and maybe it might bug you now too, and if it does, I am sorry. The Vivinite has two HSW liveries available at the Los Santos car meet. These liveries are only available here though, but even at regular car shops, there is still a livery tab, but the options just aren't there. I don't know why Rockstar didn't just remove the tab, but whatever. The Vector has a really prominent crackle and pop tune on it. Listen for yourself. Using the Rockstar editor, we can see that inside the interior of the APC Tank, there is not the slightest bit of detail at all, just a black void with our character turning an imaginary steering wheel. The APC in GTA 5 Online is also able to go into the water, like you might know, without braking. The APC also appeared in GTA 4 The Bout of Gay Tony though, but it was not aquatic in the slightest back then, oddly enough. When it came to GTA 5 Online, Rockstar gave it the feature to be able to go into water without braking, and I thought that was pretty useful. It was useful for niche case scenarios that don't really pop up too much, but the option is there. The Super Diamond in GTA 5 only comes in a 4-door variant, but in GTA 4 there was a variant called the Super Drop Diamond that was a 2-door convertible. This car was only owned by Yusuf Amir, who we would later work with in the Chop Shop update along with his cousin many years down the road. Unfortunately, he did not bring his Super Drop Diamond with him to Los Santos. No license plate you see on any car has an expiration year. It will have an expiration month though. Rockstar probably did this because at the time up-to-date tags would be like 2014 or something, and at this point they would be expired anyway. So why make the tags up to date when eventually they would actually become expired? I don't really know. The Oswald Stromberg has a unique one-of-one interior that can only be found on this car, probably because this is quite a unique car in general and Rockstar didn't have any interiors on hand that would fit the theme of this car, having to go underwater and whatnot, the overall styling of the car, so they made a new one instead, which is nice to see. Some vehicles like the Barrage and the Chernobog do not have an in-game automaker assigned to their name. Even other unique military vehicles like the Khanjali have an automaker tied to its name. In the Khanjali's case, that would be TMO2, and in the Insurgent's case, that would be Heavy, but for some reason the Barrage and the Chernobog are made by no one in particular. Inside the back of the Chernobog where you launch the missiles, a computer from about the 80s can be found. This thing is so old, I mean, it looks like you turn this thing on and watch Michael Jordan play back in college, but I guess we use it to launch missiles, and you know, I guess it works for that. This car truck thingy is very old, so it does fit the aesthetic, but it's kind of weird how we just launch it from like a PC from the 80s. And the screen itself is actually a mirror, not a screen. There's no actual reading on the screen or anything, it's a mirror, so that's quite odd. When you go to buy a new car, you may have noticed that you get 8 default color options for the car to come in, and then you could change it later or whatever on the website. As you can see here, there are 8 default color options. But for some reason, some cars from executives and other criminals and finance and felony came with 8 different default color options that in my opinion look a little bit better, but most of the time you're going to change them anyways, so it really doesn't matter. When you put the top either up or down on a convertible, the trunk will automatically close. I thought that because the convertible piece goes near the trunk, they close it for aesthetic reasons or something, but even on cars with a front trunk like the Comet S2 Cabrio, it will still close the trunk. So they must have just coded it together or something like that to where if you want to put the roof up or down, the trunk will automatically close, and that does kind of make sense. Inside the interior of the Viseras or the Viseras, I don't know how to say it, which is a car you also likely have never heard of before until I mentioned it just now, you can find the engine being displayed in between the 2 seats of the car. The timing belt on this engine also moves, which is quite interesting. I've never noticed that before, but it's cool to see such a detail. I noticed this flag emblem on the Dominator ASP one time and thought it was strange, but I carried on. I then later found out that this emblem was not exclusive to the Dominator ASP and was actually on other muscle cars as well, like the Phoenix for example. It must just be an emblem that Rockstar uses for certain muscle cars, but it is in no way tied to any specific brand in the game, which is certainly odd because you would think that maybe it would only be on Dominators or it would only be on like the Class A type cars, but no, this emblem is on just about every muscle car you can find. On the Coquette D1, you can add eyelashes to the headlights of the car. I guess if you want to go for a, I don't know, look, you can kind of have it here, although some people might make fun of you, but they're just haters. Speaking of the D1, Rockstar only recently decided to do the whole D thing with the Corvettes in GTA 5. The D1 is based on the C1 Corvette, which makes sense. The D5 is based on the C6 Corvette, which also kind of makes sense, and the D10 is based on the C8 Corvette. There are actually other Corvettes in the HD GTA universe that don't follow the D naming though, such as the Coquette from GTA 4, based on the C5 Corvette, the Coquette from GTA 5, based on the C7 Corvette, and the Coquette Classic, based on the C2 Corvette. Because Rockstar only chose to do the D naming relatively recently though, it would be hard to rename every previously existing Corvette-based car because the numbers would be off quite a bit. For example, you can't call the Coquette from GTA 4 the D5 Coquette because the D5 is already the C6 Corvette, but technically it would because the Coquette from GTA 4 is the C5 Corvette, so it would make sense to call it the D5, but that name is already taken. It's a very big jumbled up mess that they may figure out once GTA 6 is here, but currently they have not. Speaking of Coquettes, the Coquette from GTA 5 actually has rear seats even though it is only a 2-passenger vehicle. Of course, the reason is that the seats are so unbelievably small, a child probably couldn't even fit in them, but they are there nonetheless. You may have seen a Ron gas station with its gas prices somewhere nearby as well. What you didn't know is that the same gas price sign can also be found in GTA 4 as well. It seems that Rockstar thought to just reuse it here, and I can't say I'm mad at them because I've only just noticed this now, so why not? And that wasn't really a car fact, but gas, cars, you know, pretty similar, man. Come on. I think one helicopter fact wouldn't hurt anybody. The Higgins Helltours Maverick is actually a separate vehicle model than the regular Maverick. This is interesting because Rockstar could have just slapped delivery on the Maverick and called it a day, but they actually created a unique model, which hopefully we could buy in one of the updates one day. There are a couple of one-seater race cars in the game, and they have some interesting facts about them. The Benefactor LM87 has a unique one-of-one tire on the car with the Atomic sponsor by default. You cannot add this sponsor and this lettering on any other car, and it is only here by default. Once you change the wheels, this goes away. While we're down here, I should also mention both cars come with cream-colored default wheels, which is pretty cool as well. Makes them look aged and whatnot, which I'm sure is the look they're going for because these cars are obviously pretty old. Now, I usually don't do viewer facts, but I thought these next couple were pretty good, so if you got a cool fact, just comment it, and maybe I'll make it in the next video. Maybe I'll do a viewer-submitted fact segment or something like that, I don't know, but here we are. The fact is, if you put no spoiler on the Banshee GTS or a very small one, when you break off the trunk, it will appear with the stock wing that is huge and obviously not on the car, which is quite odd. Rockstar must have just coded it to be synonymous with the wing that is there by default and not update with the wing on the car, because on other cars, when you break off the trunk and it has a wing that is not the default wing, it still is normal, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have the default wing. So maybe they just kind of blacked out here. But this is quite interesting indeed, and this is the viewer that submitted it. Shout out to you. The 770 by default has 4 exhaust exits, but only 3 actually function. And that is it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did appreciate it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I hate saying it. I know it's kind of cliche on YouTube here, but it does actually work factually. You can go back and check my other videos. It does work, okay? I'm not just saying it to be a rude dude. And thank you to my July channel members. We have Nekoshi, Diego, Karso, Byron, KOIAER, and Anawack. Thank you so much. If you want to become a channel member, just subscribe and it will be replaced by a button that says join, and click it for more details. And that is all. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching my channel. June was my best month on YouTube ever. And it's no coincidence that it was the same month that I fully had time to do YouTube because I was in school. I just graduated high school, and you know, to fully do that and to see the benefits of that, to reap the rewards, it's really nice. So thank you all, and I really appreciate you all. Please have a great day or night or evening. I'll see you all later, and goodbye. Hey, hey, look, hey, look, hey, look. You better subscribe, because if you do not, I might cry. You better subscribe, I ran up the bands in GTA 5. You better subscribe, because if you do not, you might cry. You better subscribe, because if you don't, I might die. You better subscribe, I'm about to go crazy on the beat. You better subscribe, hey, wait for the beat to drop. Ooh, you better subscribe, hey, you better subscribe, I'm out of breath. You better subscribe.